The wind never stops in Patagonia. It howls across the plains, bends the sparse trees into permanent submission, and carves the landscape with an artist's precision. This is the bottom of the world, where South America tapers into nothing, caught between two oceans and stretched across two nations. Argentina and Chile split this vast wilderness between them, but nature pays no attention to borders. Here, the land operates on its own terms: ice, rock, water, and wind. These are the forces that rule. For millions of years, glaciers advanced and retreated across these mountains and plains, grinding granite into valleys, scraping out lakes, and leaving behind a geography unlike anywhere else on Earth. The ice hasn't finished its work. Even now, massive glaciers continue their slow, relentless march toward the sea. The name Patagonia comes from early European explorers. When Ferdinand Magellan's crew landed here in 1520, they encountered the native Tehuelche people. Accounts vary, but some claim the explorers called them Patagones, perhaps meaning big feet, struck by their stature or the large guanaco skin shoes they wore. The name stuck, marking this remote territory on maps for centuries to come. But long before any European set foot here, indigenous peoples thrived in this harsh environment. The Tehuelche, Selknam, Yagan, and others lived in these lands for thousands of years, adapting to the extremes, following game across the steppes, and navigating the treacherous channels of the southern archipelago. On the Argentine side, the landscape unfolds in layers. Near the Atlantic coast, the Valdez Peninsula juts into the ocean like a giant's fist. The land here is dry, almost desert-like, covered in low scrub and beaten flat by endless wind. But the peninsula isn't defined by what grows on it. It's defined by what swims around it. Southern right whales arrive each year between May and December, coming to the sheltered bays to give birth and nurse their young. Females with calves stay close to shore, sometimes just meters from the beach. From the cliffs above, you can watch them surface, blow, and roll in the waves. The whales aren't alone. Orcas patrol these waters too, hunting sea lion pups in a display of precision that borders on terrifying. They beach themselves intentionally, surging onto the sand to grab their prey before wriggling back into the surf. It's a technique passed down through generations, practiced and perfected. Elephant seals gather on the beaches by the hundreds, massive bulls weighing up to 8,000 pounds. During breeding season, they fight for dominance, rearing up and crashing into one another with a sound that carries across the water. The beaches become battlegrounds, harems, and nurseries all at once. Inland from the coast, the steppes stretch westward toward the Andes. The Patagonian steppe is not empty, though it can feel that way. It's a grassland ecosystem shaped by wind and aridity, home to guanacos, rheas, and the elusive puma. Guanacos are everywhere, moving in small herds across the plains. They're the wild ancestors of the domesticated llama, perfectly adapted to survive on sparse vegetation and little water. Their thick coats protect them from the cold, and their keen eyesight helps them spot danger from miles away. The rhea, sometimes called the South American ostrich, is a large flightless bird that sprints across the steppe and speeds up to 40 miles per hour. Males take on the responsibility of incubating eggs and raising chicks, often caring for young from multiple females. And there are the pumas. Patagonia is one of the best places on the continent to see them, particularly around Torres del Paine. They're solitary creatures, stalking the mountains with patience and explosive speed. Sightings have increased in recent years as conservation efforts have allowed populations to stabilize. As you move west, the flat steppe gives way to foothills, and eventually, the Andes rise in full force. This is where Patagonia transforms from desert to ice. The southern Patagonian ice field is the third largest freshwater reserve on the planet, surpassed only by Antarctica and Greenland. It spans nearly 5,000 square miles, straddling the border between Argentina and Chile. From this massive sheet of ice, dozens of glaciers flow outward, grinding through valleys and calving into lakes. Perito Moreno is the most famous. Unlike most glaciers in the world, which are retreating, Perito Moreno remains in a state of equilibrium. It advances and retreats in cycles, constantly pushing forward, even as chunks of ice break off its face. The glacier is over 3 miles wide and rises more than 200 feet above the surface of Lake Argentino. But the ice extends far deeper, plunging another 500 feet below the waterline. The color is unreal, a deep electric blue caused by the way compressed ice absorbs light. Every few minutes, sometimes every few seconds, the glacier calves. Ice cracks, groans, and collapses into the lake with a sound like distant thunder. Waves radiate outward from the impact, rocking the icebergs that already float in the milky water. What makes Perito Moreno particularly dramatic is the way it interacts with the land. The glacier's advance occasionally blocks off a section of the lake, creating a natural dam. Water builds up behind the ice until the pressure becomes too great. Then the dam ruptures in a spectacular collapse, sending torrents of water and ice surging through the gap. The last major rupture occurred in 2016, drawing thousands of spectators. North of Perito Moreno, the landscape shifts again. The town of El Chalten sits at the base of two of Patagonia's most iconic peaks, Mount Fitzroy and Cerro Torre. Fitzroy rises to over 11,000 feet, its granite spire often shrouded in clouds. The mountain was sacred to the Tehuelche people, who called it Chalten, meaning smoking mountain because of the way clouds cling to its summit. The name reflects the respect and awe it inspired. For climbers, Fitzroy is one of the world's greatest challenges. The rock is steep, the weather unpredictable, and the summit often wrapped in storms. The first successful ascent didn't occur until 1952, led by French alpinists Lionel Terray and Guido Magnon. Cerro Torre stands nearby, even more forbidding. Its sheer granite walls are topped with a massive mushroom of brine ice, formed by wind-driven moisture, freezing on contact. Some consider it the most difficult climb in the world. The region around these peaks is a hiker's paradise. Trails wind through Lenga forests, cross rivers fed by glacial melt, and open into viewpoints where the mountains dominate the horizon. Laguna de los Tres, a turquoise lake at the base of Fitzroy, is accessible after a steep climb that rewards those who make the effort. Crossing into Chilean Patagonia, the landscape becomes even more. Torres del Paine National Park is a study in contrasts. Jagged peaks, sprawling glaciers, windswept grasslands, and brilliant blue lakes. The Torres themselves, 3 granite towers that give the park its name, rise abruptly from the surrounding terrain. Formed by glacial erosion and shaped by millions of years of wind and ice, they stand as monuments to geological persistence. The park's lakes are a striking feature. Their colors range from deep turquoise to milky gray, depending on the concentration of glacial sediment. Lago Pejoe, with its vivid blue water set against the backdrop of the Torres del Paine, is one of the most photographed spots in South America. Gray Glacier lies on the western edge of the park, part of the southern ice field. Visitors can take boat trips across Gray Lake to approach the glacier's towering face, where ice constantly shifts and cracks. The sound is a low rumble, punctuated by sharp reports as chunks break free and crash into the water. Wildlife is abundant in Torres del Paine. Guanacos roam the open areas, condors soar on thermals above the peaks, and flamingos gather in shallow lagoons. The park's puma population has become a major draw for wildlife enthusiasts, with guides now offering dedicated tracking excursions. Further south, the landscape fragments into a labyrinth of channels, fjords, and islands. This is the region of the Magellan Strait and Tierra del Fuego, the archipelago at the absolute edge of the continent. Tierra del Fuego, Land of Fire, was named by Magellan's crew, who saw smoke rising from indigenous campfires along the shore. The archipelago is split between Chile and Argentina, a remote and windswept territory where the Andes finally descend into the sea. The city of Ushuaia on the Argentine side bills itself as the southernmost city in the world. It's a jumping-off point for Antarctic expeditions and a gateway to Tierra del Fuego National Park. The park protects forests of southern beach, coastal wetlands, and rugged mountains that plunge directly into the Beagle Channel. The Beagle Channel itself is a narrow strait separating the main island from smaller islands to the south. Charles Darwin sailed these waters aboard the HMS Beagle in the 1830s. His observations here contributed to his developing theories on evolution and natural selection. On the Chilean side, Punta Arenas serves as a regional hub. Founded in the mid-19th century as a penal colony, it grew into a vital port during the Age of Sail, when ships passing between the Atlantic and Pacific had to navigate the treacherous waters of the Magellan Strait. The opening of the Panama Canal in 1914 reduced its strategic importance, but the city remains a center of commerce and culture in the far south. Not far from Punta Arenas lies the Mylodon Cave, a massive natural cavern where, in 1895, researchers found preserved skin and bones of the Mylodon, a giant ground sloth that went extinct thousands of years ago. The discovery sparked imaginations worldwide, with some even speculating the creature might still be alive deep in Patagonia's interior. Science has since dispelled that myth, but the cave remains a window into the region's prehistoric past. The weather in Patagonia is unforgiving. Winds regularly exceed 60 miles per hour, and storms can roll in with little warning. The region sits in the path of the roaring 40s and furious 50s, latitude bands where westerly winds circle the globe unimpeded by land masses. This constant wind shapes everything. Trees grow sideways, their branches all pointing east. Hikers lean into the gusts, and lakes whip into whitecaps even on sunny days. The wind is not an occasional inconvenience. It's a fundamental part of the Patagonian experience. Despite the harshness, or perhaps because of it, Patagonia has become a magnet for adventurers. Trekkers come to walk the W Circuit in Torres del Paine, or hike to the base of Fitzroy. Climbers test themselves on the region's legendary peaks. Kayakers navigate the fjords and channels, paddling among icebergs and seals. But Patagonia is also changing. Glaciers are retreating at an accelerating pace. Scientists monitor the ice fields closely, documenting losses that have implications far beyond this remote corner of the world. Climate change is rewriting the story of Patagonia in real time, and what remains is a landscape caught between ancient ice and an uncertain future. For now, the glaciers still grind forward, the wind still howls, and the mountains still pierce the sky. Patagonia remains a place where nature overwhelms the senses, where the scale of the land humbles even the most seasoned travelers. This is the end of the world, but it's also a beginning. A reminder that some places still exist beyond the reach of convenience, where wilderness is not a concept, but a lived reality. Patagonia doesn't care if you're ready for it. It simply is, indifferent and magnificent. A landscape that has outlasted empires and